He mocked my fall. I rose silently. My name is Noah Vance. I'm 42, a software developer in Chicago. I'm steady, thoughtful, the one who listens, never clashes. I hold fast to effort, honor, and trust. When others deceive me, I don't confront. I stay quiet. I catalog every moment. And I prepare. Chicago's skyline shimmered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Tech Trend Innovations, where I'd carved out a life as a software developer, my code the heartbeat of their data platform. My Logan Square apartment was a sanctuary, books stacked high, a chipped coffee mug from my parents, and a quiet pride in the stability I'd built over years of late-night coding. Marcus, a colleague who became my closest friend, was my anchor, our lunch breaks filled with his sharp humor, our evenings plotting side projects over craft beers in Wicker Park. I trusted him, saw him as family in the grind of Chicago's tech world. Our bond is solid as the algorithms we debated. This is your life, my inner voice said, warm with certainty. You earned this. My routine was steady. Mornings debugging complex systems, afternoons guiding new devs, nights with Marcus dreaming up apps we'd build together. I'd share my latest code, his eyes lighting up, his feedback quick and clever. Noah, you're a genius, he'd say, raising a glass. And I believed him, my trust as firm as the commits I pushed to production. My parents, retired in Evanston, called weekly, their voices full of pride for my steady climb at Tech Trend. I'd saved for a future, a house, maybe a startup, feeling secure in my role and Marcus's loyalty. You're set, my inner voice whispered, alive with confidence. You're enough. The office thrummed with energy. I spearheaded a project to overhaul Tech Trend's analytics, slashing processing times, earning a nod from the CEO at a team meeting. Marcus was there, grinning, clinking bottles at a happy hour to celebrate my win. We'd sketch ideas on bar napkins, laughing about our $1 million app, our futures intertwined. I thought of my parents' small bookstore, their battles with outdated software, and how my work could ease those struggles for others. I saw myself rising at Tech Trend, maybe leading a team, with Marcus by my side. You're building something lasting, I told myself, my mug warm in my hands, Chicago's lights steady beyond my window. I didn't catch the shadows creeping in. I overlooked Marcus's sly comments about my frugal habits, the way he'd smirk when I paid for drinks. I missed the hushed boardroom meetings, the rumors of layoffs buried under corporate jargon. I was too deep in the life I'd earned. My code, my friendship, my place at Tech Trend. I thought loyalty was guaranteed, that Marcus's support was as real as mine, that my job was as secure as my work ethic. He's your ally, I thought, brushing off the pauses that lingered too long. But when the betrayal came, I remembered every detail, every laugh, every promise, every napkin sketch I thought we shared. Chicago's winter crept into Tech Trend Innovations. The office air tense with rumors of budget cuts. But I kept coding, my focus on the analytics platform unbroken. Marcus, my friend and colleague, started to change, his quick wit turning sharp in ways I didn't expect. Over beers in Wicker Park, he'd jab at my cautious savings, smirking, Noah, you still saving for that rainy day? I laughed it off, my coffee mug warm at home, thinking it was just his humor. But the jabs grew, comments about my old car, my modest apartment, each one small but pointed, landing heavier as Tech Trend's meetings grew quieter. He's just joking, I told myself. My laptop opened to job alerts. He's still your friend. The cracks widened. At a team lunch, Marcus grinned, tossing out, Noah's probably got a fortune stashed under his mattress, his tone playful but his eyes cold, the table chuckling. I smiled, my tie neat, but felt a prickle of unease. Later, he asked about my savings, his curiosity too keen, and I brushed it off, mentioning freelance side gigs to stay afloat. His nod was quick, his gaze sliding away, and I caught him whispering to another colleague, their laughter sharp. My coder's mind, trained to spot patterns, began to log his words, his glances, the way he leaned into others' approval. Something's off, my inner voice whispered, no longer certain, but alert, like a system catching an error. I kept up my routine, debugging code, mentoring devs, my face steady at Tech Trend's happy hours. But Marcus's comments lingered, his jokes about my budget phone, his quips about my simple life in front of colleagues. I overheard him at a bar, saying, "Noah's too safe to make it big," his tone dismissive, his friends nodding. I didn't confront him. I sipped my drink, my smile polite, my parents' coffee mug a distant anchor in my mind. "He's testing you," my inner voice said, sharper now, cataloging every word, every smirk like lines of code in a growing script. Nights in my Logan Square apartment grew heavier, Chicago's skyline dim through the frost. I thought of my parents, their pride in my steady job, and how Marcus's jabs felt like a betrayal of the trust we'd built. I didn't call him out or argue. I sat with my laptop, my code clean, my savings lean but intact despite the company's downturn. "He thinks you're small," my inner voice murmured, cold and clear. "You see him now." I didn't need to fight back yet. I watched, my silence a shield, noting every slight, every laugh, as the seeds of doubt took root, preparing me for what I couldn't yet name. Chicago's winter bit harder the day Tech Trend Innovations called me into a sterile boardroom, the HR manager's voice flat. "Noah, we're letting you go. Budget cuts." My code had slashed their platform's load times, but it wasn't enough. I left the office, my bag heavy, the skyline gray, only to face Marcus that night at a bar in Wicker Park. Surrounded by our colleagues, he raised a glass, his grin sharp, and said, "To Noah, who's got to sell that old car now?" Laughter erupted, their eyes on me, his words twisting the knife of my fresh joblessness. I stood still, my drink untouched, my face calm. "He turned on you," my inner voice said, cold and sharp, like a system logging a fatal error. I didn't flinch. "Funny," I said, my voice even, meeting Marcus's gaze. He doubled down, smirking. "What's next, Noah?" "Food stamps." The table roared again, their laughs echoing his betrayal, each one a wound deeper than the layoff. I trusted him, shared napkin sketches and dreams, but now he'd made my struggle a punchline, my savings and modest life a joke for his new clique. I thought of my parents, their pride in my career, now tainted by this moment. "He mocked you for falling," my inner voice whispered, hard as steel, etching every word into memory. The bar's noise faded as I sat, my tie neat, my smile a mask. I overheard Marcus later, boasting to a friend, "Noah's broke, man. He's done." The betrayal wasn't just his words. It was the glee, the way he turned our bond into a stage for my humiliation. I didn't argue or storm out. I nodded at a colleague, paid my tab, and left, the Chicago wind sharp against my face. "They think you're broken," my inner voice said, no longer questioning but certain, a ledger opening for every laugh, every glance. Back in my Logan Square apartment, the city's hum faint, I sat with my coffee mug, my parents' gift, and let the sting settle. Marcus's voice replayed, his smirk, his food stamps jab, the crowd's laughter, like a loop in code I couldn't debug. I didn't call him or lash out. I stood by my window, my reflection steady, my coder's mind cataloging every detail, his confidence, his betrayal, the friends who'd joined him. "He thinks you're nothing," my inner voice murmured, unyielding. "You'll show him you're not." The pain was quiet, a deep ache carving space for something new. I thought of my parents, their bookstore struggles, the career I'd built to honor them, now mocked by a friend I trusted. "You'll remember this," my inner voice vowed, calm and final. I didn't need to shout or fight. I needed only what I'd always had, my skills, my patience, and the truth of his betrayal, stored like a program waiting to run. Chicago's lights flickered outside, and I saw a path, not to Marcus, but past him, a silent promise to turn his scorn into my strength. Chicago's winter tightened its grip, the city's lights dim through my Logan Square apartment window, mirroring the chill of Marcus's betrayal. His public mockery at the bar, his food stamps jab, the laughter of our colleagues, cut deeper than Tech Trend's layoff notice. I kept coding, taking freelance gigs, my laptop glowing with small projects, my smile steady when I met clients. Friends texted, some echoing Marcus's disdain. "You'll bounce back, Noah, but times are tough." Their words, siding with his narrative, left me isolated, my trust in them fraying like old code. "They think you're done," my inner voice whispered, no longer warm but steady, like a program waiting to compile. My apartment became a fortress of silence, the coffee mug from my parents a quiet anchor on my desk. I didn't call Marcus or confront our mutual friends, who now invited him to gatherings while my phone stayed quiet. At a tech meetup, I saw them laughing, Marcus at the center, his stories loud, my name absent or a footnote. I stood in the corner, my tie neat, my drink untouched, their glances sliding past me. They've chosen him, my inner voice said, cold and clear, logging every snub, every whisper like errors in a debug console. Nights grew heavier. Alone, I sat with my code, the glow of my screen the only light, my parents' mug a reminder of their pride in a career now shattered. Marcus's betrayal wasn't just his words. It was the ease with which he'd turned our friendship into a punchline, the way friends followed his lead, leaving me to fade. I didn't rage or beg for their loyalty. I let the pain settle, a quiet ache carving space for something deliberate. He mocked her struggle. My inner voice murmured, sharp as a cursor blinking, "You'll use it." I kept up appearances. To clients, I was Noah, the dependable coder, delivering clean scripts with a nod. To peers, I was the quiet one, slipping into the background as they praised Marcus's charisma. I saw him once at a coffee shop, his laugh loud, his new clique nodding, oblivious to me across the room. I didn't approach. I watched, my mind a ledger, noting his confidence, their allegiance, the way they dismissed my fall. "They think you've broken," my inner voice said, unyielding. "That's your strength." In the stillness, I found clarity. My isolation wasn't defeat. It was a vantage point. Every friend silence, every laugh Marcus drew at my expense, was a line of code in a program I was writing. Not for them, but for me. I didn't need their pity or their trust. I needed their blindness, their belief I'd fade. "You're not broken, Noah," my inner voice murmured, calm and final. "You're preparing." I stood by my window, Chicago's skyline a faint pulse, and felt the first threads of a plan weave together, a silent vow to turn their scorn into my ascent. Chicago's winter winds howled outside my Logan Square apartment, but inside, my laptop glowed with purpose, my code a weapon against Marcus's betrayal and Tech Trend's rejection. His mockery at the bar, his food stamps jab, and my firing had carved a wound, but they also sharpened my resolve. As a software developer, I knew systems, how to build them, how to break them, and now I'd use that to reclaim my place, targeting the company that discarded me. I didn't lash out or confront Marcus. I planned, my desk a war room of notes and data, my mind a blueprint for triumph. "He laughed at you," my inner voice said, cold and steady. "You'll rewrite the story." I dove into my craft, freelancing for startups, my code cleaner and faster, each project a step toward rebuilding. But my plan was bigger. Using public records and tech forums, I dug into Tech Trend's finances, over-leveraged projects, a bloated payroll, Marcus's flashy pitches masking shaky results. I found his LinkedIn boasts, his emails to colleagues bragging about carrying the team, saved from a hacked company server I'd once built. His overconfidence was a flaw, and Tech Trend's cracks, missed deadlines, client complaints, were leverage. "They're fragile," my inner voice whispered, sharp as a debug tool. "You'll use it." My strategy took shape. From coffee shop Wi-Fi, I sent anonymous tips to investors, highlighting Tech Trend's missteps without naming Marcus directly. I pitched my own software, a lean analytics tool, to rival firms, building a reputation as a coder who delivered. I contacted venture capitalists. My proposal sharp, my savings funneled into a small investment fund I'd started. Every move was calculated, untraceable. My facecom at meetups where Marcus still held court. "He doesn't see you," my inner voice murmured, steady and precise. "That's your power." At a tech conference, I watched Marcus, his laugh loud, his stories about leading Tech Trend unchallenged by colleagues who'd forgotten me. I stood in the back, my tie neat, my portfolio ready for a rival CEO who'd noticed my freelance work. Marcus didn't know I'd saved his emails, his boasts, or that I'd tracked Tech Trend stock dip. I didn't gloat or reveal my hand. I kept coding, kept connecting, my apartment a hub of quiet ambition. "He thinks you're gone," my inner voice said, unyielding. "You're building." In the stillness of my apartment, my parents' coffee mug sat on my desk, a reminder of their pride in a career Marcus had mocked. Their bookstore struggles fueled my purpose, to build tools that empowered, not betrayed. He laughed at your fall, my inner voice said, calm and final. You'll rise higher. I didn't need his apology or Tech Trend's regret. I needed my skills, my patience, and the silent plan taking shape, a program to reclaim my worth and expose their flaws, line by line, until their world bent to mine. Chicago's skyline glittered as my plan took root, my freelance coding projects turning heads in the tech scene. My analytics tool, built in the quiet of my Logan Square apartment, landed me a deal with Apex Ventures, a rival firm eager to back my vision. Months of silent strategy, tracking Marcus's boasts, Tech Trend's cracks, had led here, my work outshining the company that fired me. I didn't confront Marcus or gloat about my growing reputation. I moved forward, my laptop glowing with new code, my desk a map of their downfall. He mocked you, my inner voice said, cold and steady. Now they're watching. My first move was calculated. Using a burner account, I sent more anonymous tips to tech blogs, exposing Tech Trend's missed deadlines and Marcus's overstated wins, backed by his own emails I'd saved. The posts spread, whispers of mismanagement circling at industry events. Meanwhile, my tool gained traction, startups praising its speed, my name, still low-key, buzzing in Chicago's tech circles. Apex's funding let me scale, my investment fund growing as I pitched to their network. Marcus felt the heat, his LinkedIn post quieter, but he didn't know I was the shadow behind it. He senses it, my inner voice murmured, sharp with quiet triumph. But he doesn't see you. I kept my routine, coding for clients, my tie-knit at meetups where Marcus still played the star. At a tech panel, I saw him, his grin forced as a rival CEO praised a new developer, shaking things up. My smile was polite, my presence unnoticed, but my tool's metrics, downloads, user growth, spoke louder than his boasts. I fed more data to blogs, linking Marcus's leadership to Tech Trend's dipping stock, each tip untraceable, sent from coffee shop Wi-Fi. They think it's chance, my inner voice said, relishing the precision. It's you. Friends who'd laughed with Marcus texted me, their tone shifting. Heard you're doing big things, Noah. I replied vaguely, keeping them at a distance, my focus on the plan. Marcus called once, his voice tense. You working on something big? I said, just coding, my voice calm, giving nothing away. He's rattled. My inner voice whispered, steady and deliberate. You're climbing. My parents' coffee mug sat on my desk, their pride in my grit a quiet fuel, their bookstore struggles a reminder of why I built tools to empower, not betray. In my apartment, Chicago's lights a backdrop. I check my tool's dashboard. Users soaring, Apex's investors impressed. Marcus's betrayal, his barroom mockery, faded against the hum of my ascent. He laughed at your fall, my inner voice said, calm and final. You're rising. I didn't need his fear or Tech Trend's regret. I needed my code, my patience, and the stage I was setting. A stage where Marcus would soon see the cost of his scorn, not through my words, but through the empire I was building in silence. Chicago's skyline loomed as I signed the final papers, my investment fund, built from freelance grit and Apex Ventures backing, securing Tech Trend Innovations, the company that had discarded me. My analytics tool had exploded, its success fueling a silent takeover, my name now tied to the firm that once mocked my worth. Marcus's betrayal, his barroom jabs about my food stamps, had driven me here, but I didn't gloat. I walked into Tech Trend's boardroom, my tie neat, my face calm, and revealed myself as the new owner to a room of stunned faces. Marcus is among them. He laughed at you, my inner voice said, cold and steady. Now he sees. The reveal was precise. I'd orchestrated the buyout through proxies, my anonymous tips about Tech Trend's mismanagement, Marcus's bloated pitches, their financial cracks, paving the way. The board, desperate to avoid collapse, accepted my offer, unaware I was the coder they'd fired. Marcus stared, his grin gone, as I outlined my vision, a leaner Tech Trend, powered by my tool, its metrics already outshining their old platform. Noah, he stammered, his voice small. I nodded, my voice even. Things change. He underestimated you, my inner voice whispered, sharp and satisfied. You own him now. His world unraveled. Tech blogs buzzed with tech trends, new direction. My name is owner of Shockwave. Marcus's boasts, his emails I'd leaked, his leadership, exposed as hollow, left him sidelined, his clique of colleagues silent as I restructured the firm. I didn't fire him. I let him stay. His role diminished, his confidence shattered. Friends who'd laughed with him called me, their apologies weak. Didn't know you had this in you, Noah. I replied curtly, my focus on the company, my code streamlining operations, my vision restoring what they'd broken. They thought you'd fade, my inner voice murmured, calm and final. You reclaimed. I stood in TechTrend's office. My office now, Chicago's lights stretching beyond. Marcus approached once, his eyes avoiding mine, muttering, didn't mean it, man. I looked at him, my expression steady, and said, I know. I didn't need his regret. My parents' coffee mug sat on my desk, their pride in my rise a quiet anchor, their bookstore struggles a reminder of why I'd fought. To build, not destroy. He mocked your fall, my inner voice said, soft but unyielding. You rose higher. The takeover was my justice, not loud but deliberate, a program executed line by line. Marcus's laughter, his betrayal, was a distant echo, drowned by the hum of my success. I didn't shout or revel. I led, my team growing, my tool transforming tech trend into a name that echoed beyond Chicago. You didn't win, my inner voice whispered, clear and final. You reclaimed. I didn't need their awe or Marcus's shame. I had my company, my code, and the quiet truth of a life rebuilt, stronger than the one they try to break. Chicago's skyline gleamed from the windows of tech trend innovations. Now mine, its platform thriving under my code and vision. My analytics tool, born in the ashes of Marcus's betrayal, had transformed the company, its metrics soaring, startups nationwide adopting it. My Logan Square apartment, once a refuge of pain, was now a place of peace, my parents' coffee mug a quiet testament to their pride. Marcus, once the loud center of our circle, had faded, his boasts exposed, his role at TechTrend reduced, his name absent from industry buzz. I didn't gloat. I stood in my office, the city's lights steady, and felt the weight of his mockery lift, replaced by the calm of my triumph. You reclaimed, my inner voice said, soft and clear, like a program fully compiled. The tech world took notice. Colleagues who'd laughed with Marcus now saw my mentorship, their emails full of respect for TechTrend's turnaround. At conferences, my keynotes drew crowds, my name synonymous with innovation, while Marcus's faded into whispers of what happened. I thought of my parents, their bookstore struggles, and how my tool empowered small businesses like theirs. Their calls were warm, their pride a quiet anchor, unaware of Marcus's full betrayal but celebrating my rise. You didn't win, my inner voice whispered, steady and final. You rebuilt. Marcus texted once, a weak apology I left unanswered, his regret irrelevant to the legacy I was building. My days were full, leading a leaner tech trend, mentoring devs, refining code that outshone the platform I'd once built for them. I saw Marcus at a tech meetup, his confidence gone, his eyes avoiding mine as he lingered on the fringes. I didn't approach. I nodded, my tie neat, and kept speaking to a client, my focus on the future. He sees you now, my inner voice murmured, calm but unyielding. He sees what he lost. I didn't need his shame or their applause. My company, my tool, spoke louder than his barroom jabs ever had. In my apartment, Chicago's hum a soft backdrop. I reflected on the journey. Marcus's laughter, my firing, the isolation I turned into strength. His betrayal had been a fracture, but my plan, patient, precise, had rebuilt me, not as a man of vengeance, but of purpose. You ended it. Noah, my inner voice said, clear and certain. You rose. I didn't need his fall to feel whole. I had my team, my code, and the quiet justice of a legacy restored. Standing in my office, the skyline stretching beyond, I felt the stillness of a path complete. The pain, the scorn, Marcus's betrayal, they were shadows, burned away by the light of what I'd built. I called my parents, my voice steady, sharing TechTrend's latest milestone, their pride a warmth no betrayal could dim. He thought you'd break, My inner voice whispered, final and clear. You built instead. My legacy was mine, coded line by line, not for revenge, but for the truth of my worth, a testament to effort, honor, and trust reclaimed.